Hey Townscaper fans. In this video I'm going to show you how to make asymmetrical floating islands. I bought this game just a couple days ago and I love it. I think it's pretty, it's fun, and it's a nice creative outlet. After watching a few videos on how to make the smaller symmetrical floating islands, I decided I wanted to try to make a bigger one, and I ended up with this. I realized that you just need to remove all of the right-angled corners. And so if you take a look at this portion right here, you can see there's a couple of right-angled corners that make those pylons. So what happens when we smooth that out? Ta-da! A giant floating island. So I wanted to make a video to try to recreate this to sort of give you an idea of how I did it. So this next segment is a minute long, and it basically shows a failed attempt. It just got really messy, and it ultimately I decided to give up on it. It took me about an hour to realize that it wasn't going to work. And I just want to acknowledge that the final product in this video is not pretty, but this is just meant to be a proof of concept, and you know, you can take your final platform and do whatever you want with it. Build your town on top of it. I think the main problem I ran into with this attempt was that I ran into the edge of the world. There's a limit to the size of the map that you can have. So here's my final attempt, and I decided to start just by building it a few units off of sea level. You can do it at whatever height you want, but it's nicer to have it closer to the grid so you can reference the grid. You'll see in that as I do this, I'm kind of just playing around and testing things out and experimenting. There's a lot of kind of meandering that happens, sort of seeing where things go. What I'm basically trying to do is create a closed loop, and as I do this, I'm not worried about what the inside of the loop looks like as far as having those right angles with the pylons. I'm more worried about the outside. One of the things that you'll see are the 5-way grid points, and every time you're drawing a path and you create one of those, or and you encounter one of those grid points, you need to branch your grid off in 2 directions. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the 2 directions that are continuing on the way you're going. You can actually go backwards with one of them, but you can't leave one of those points sticking out. Like you'll see right there, I've got a point sticking out. So what's useful is one trick. You'll see right there, I just built a right angle, 2 right angles off of a straight path, and there's no pylons formed when you do that. And that makes it a little easier to do that nice little trick where I just enclosed that extra grid point with the extra pylon sticking out with that pathway. So I do a lot of fooling around here, a lot of trial and error, a lot of using undo, and there's not a whole lot of method to my madness. One thing I'm doing is, you can see the blocks that are at sea level. I'm marking the grid points that only have 3 sides. Those are really useful because when you bring a path to one of those, it kind of tends to turn into a left or a right turn, but without a pylon. And that can, you know, if you get a couple of those, you can start to loop back toward your main structure. So you can see that happening right there. think this is also where I got frustrated with not being able to close some of the loops closer in, so I just started following this big long meandering pathway, and there's this moment of disappointment when I encounter the edge of the map and I can't make it go any further. And this is when I started to be a little more careful about what I was doing. I was looking at the way that the grid was flowing, and not just yet here, but right about here, I start looking at the different, the ways the different lines are moving. And this is something that maybe I could have started doing earlier on. Just sort of marking where the path was going. It's a bit of a puzzle, a bit of a game unto itself, trying to find ways to make a closed loop. So I think that was all of the outer pylons have been taken care of at this point, and so this shows why I wasn't worried about any of the inner pylons, because it's so easy to fill in what needs to be filled in order to make them disappear. Of course, eventually you could fill in the all the inner gaps. This shows sort of the minimal amount of filling necessary. And only thing left to take care of is a little cleanup, removing those blocks at sea level. I got a little worried there that there was a pylon that I'd missed, but it disappeared. It's kind of a glitch. Something really satisfying about watching these things be deleted at high speed. And only one pylon left. And there it is. Thanks for watching.